Millions of tilapia bones and barnacle shells that vaguely resemble teeth line the shores of California's greatest lake as a blanket of haze hovers above in the desert sky. The State Water Resources Control Board urged visitors to stay out of the murky gray waters back in April when a dog died after taking a swim. But the toxic algal bloom that killed the dog is just one in a multitude of problems the lake and its surrounding communities are facing.
There are a lot of health disparities in this area. So in addition to being, a primarily Latinx community, it's a very large immigrant, undocumented community.
The Salton Sea spans 30 miles from north to south and 10 miles from east to west. It sits on the border of Riverside and Imperial counties in one of California's most impoverished and neglected regions. Some say it contributes to poor health.
Hospitales más cerca, que si tú vas a una emergencia allí, llegas a las 10 de la mañana, te atienden a las 5 de la tarde. Si vas a una clínica de las que están aquí alrededor, también hay demasiados pacientes, no es algo tan rápido. Cuando es emergencia nos queremos ir hasta Rancho Mirage porque es más rápido. Ya entramos con la cita con el doctor, pero que el doctor no hable español. ¿Cómo me voy a comunicar con él? Si la enfermera está allí, yo no sé si ella le está contando todo lo que yo le estoy diciendo. Yo conozco a varios padres que sí tienen sus niños asma. Lamentablemente tengo dos niñas que sí les sangra la nariz. Una tiene 11 años, una apenas cumplió 4 años. Pero sí, eso es común en los niños que viven alrededor de la laguna.
When we talk to parents about how they perceive the local environmental conditions to affect the health and well-being of their children, they talk about how it's nonstop and it's constant. Often the child, in addition to having asthma, has other kinds of health conditions, of which allergies is commonly the catch-all term to describe anything that's not respiratory distress. Children, I believe, in those summer months tend to have more nosebleeds.
Work hours have also kept many community members from participating in the conversations about how to solve the lake's problems.
I have to say my community is the hardest working community that I've ever experienced. I guess I'll speak from my experience. I didn't know I was poor. My parents would always create these different scenarios or activities to make me feel that I had all the resources. We didn't know we were underserved. We just knew that was our life.
Nosotros siempre pensamos que tal vez por eso no se ha tomado tanto en cuenta estas áreas, porque son personas de bajos recursos, que no somos personas blancas, no somos inversionistas, que tal vez si aquí viviera una comunidad blanca, esto se tomaría más en serio. No sé si sea discriminación o desigualdad, no hay equidad. Estas comunidades no tienen tiempo de ir a una junta en persona porque están trabajando. Se están piscando la uva, están piscando el limón o están piscando el chile. Estas juntas siempre se llevan de las 9 hasta las 3 de la tarde, que es en la jornada que trabajan. Entonces, pues, si quiero hablar, hablo, pero no me escuchan, pero si somos muchos, no podemos ir todos porque tenemos que trabajar.
Scientists at UCR have spent 2 years working with the local communities, collecting and testing dust in the area in search of answers as to what is contributing to the surrounding population's disparate health conditions.
What we anticipate is in those toxins include chemicals and pesticides that have gotten into the environment, and those children are consistently exposed to it. And parents recognize that depending on the time of the year, the child's health will change.
So we've collected dust from near the North Shore, we've collected dust from Whistler, and we've also collected dust from the desert in areas that are closer to Palm Springs, for example. So far, what we've seen is that if you do exposures with Salton Sea water, you see gene expression changes from that instrument that suggest that there is a low-level inflammatory triggering in those lung tissues. Whereas if we do the same thing with Pacific Ocean water, we see no response at all.
What researchers and organizers agree on is that the fight the Salton Sea's communities are in is one for equity.
Institutionalized racism. If they were white, affluent people, the government would not be brushing them apart because they have more political clout.
Data that's more readily available is like county-wide, right? So for Riverside County, you're blending the data from people living in Mecca and India with people from Palm Springs, city of Riverside. I mean, it's a big county. So it washes out a lot of the detail that you might otherwise really use to point to a serious problem.
Yeah, well, we need to call it for what it is. It's environmental racism. If this would have happened in an affluent community, white community members, Caucasian, it would have been addressed already.
A social justice coalition that includes organizations such as Alianza and Cancui Design Initiative has been working together with community members for a number of years to address the issues with the Salton Sea.
Helping the community understand that there are different folks, different stakeholders in the decision-making process and what are they responsible for. And then helping them sort of connect the dots and then making them feel powerful enough to be able to voice their opinion and to voice their concerns directly to decision makers.
Si alguien lo estuviera viendo el gobernador, yo lo invitaría a que caminara el Salton Sea. Todos los políticos que sean representantes de recursos naturales o que sean algo para la laguna, los invitaría en el mes de agosto para que vengan y se suban en una lancha y miren cómo está. Pero no solamente un día, que se quedaran una semana o un mes para que miren cómo nosotros estamos aquí oliendo estos olores fuertes, cómo está la salud de nuestros niños.